Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the channel in 2026. I am of course Legacy Gamer, and it's been a long time coming, and I know it's been a while, and I have tons of content I plan to produce for you guys. But today we are talking about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. And no, I did not play the original, but I do know from listening to other reviewers talk about the game and reading details for myself online that this is a huge departure from the original title. This is not heavily RPG focused like it was in the original. You do not get to build your own vampire from scratch, but rather you play as an elder vampire with several vampire abilities. So your story is already preset. You basically wake up from a long time slumber with your memory wiped, and not necessarily knowing who you are, but just knowing that you are old and very, very powerful. But this title, I did enjoy it, but I will say go into this title if you're interested with your expectations tempered, because go into it not expecting a whole lot. This is not anywhere near what the first game was, from what I'm hearing. That it's more of an action story focused title with a little heavy dialogue and exposition. And the dialogue for this game, I will say, is hit and miss. Sometimes the delivery from the actors really nail it, the sound, especially with the music and the atmospheric vibe, and then sometimes the dialogue falls really, really flat, and
to make your body work more efficiently somehow, in one way or another.
Mrs. Thorne thought it had something to do with memories.
Ah, that would make sense. A memory enhancer, yes, to make the subject's recall more acute, more capable.
A memory enhancer, huh? Now that's interesting.
You're just like, really? Who wrote this? But the game does fulfill, I will say, at the very minimum, it does fulfill that vampire fantasy, especially that elder vampire type fantasy. If you're a fan of films like The Underworld or Dracula Untold, or where you see these vampires kind of like these machine type gods of darkness. The game does make you feel like that. You also play with as an alternate carrier named Fabian, who is somewhat of a mental, I don't want to say parasite, but a presence that stalks you and that you can listen to. And I won't get into spoilers as to how you have this inseparable cognitive relationship between yourself and Fabian. But Fabian, you don't really engage in combat when you're playing as him or when you're experiencing this world through his eyes and through his senses. He acts as sort of an exposition conduit in the game. You get to know more about the world, its backstory, its history, and maybe even things yet to come through Fabian's experience. He plays more of a detective role in the game. And I purposely limited video clips of his sections because I feel like they are heavy on the spoilers. And I like for this to be a spoiler-free review. But as Fabian, you engage with a lot of the unaware citizens of Seattle and downtown Seattle. You play as a detective that works for the precinct of the designated area that this game takes place in. And you basically find out information involving certain killings or mysterious anarchy and undercover anarchist type characters in the game. You interrogate them and you question them and you find out certain details to lead you to more discoveries about many of the game's mysteries. The map is fairly small and static the world is not reactive at all in a game like it would be in a game like Fallout or Skyrim, or even the more recently Cyberpunk 2027, or even The Witcher. You will be visiting a lot of the same locale, which it can be a negative. You know, you get these missions and you get these quests and they're like, oh, and run back here and tell so and so, and you're like, really? I just spoke to them 10 minutes ago. And you don't get a whole lot of character growth within the characters. There of course is some choice and dialogue and consequences to certain choices in the game, but they're very, very shallow. There's not a lot of depth there. It is a situation of many paths to the same destination, right? While you can take this road or you can take this route, a lot of times it does lead you to the same outcome. So don't expect a Baldur's Gate level type story within this game. So again, I cannot stress this point enough. This game is not for you unless you love vampires. And even then, you really have to know what you're getting into. Otherwise, you'll just be disappointed. This is not your I'm making my vampire world fantasy. This world is already built out for you. The rules of the world are already built out for you. And while you play a powerful being in this world, you are not shaping it whatsoever, despite what the trailers might insinuate. But it really is a power fantasy. You know, one thing I found really interesting while playing the game is that I really enjoyed traversal. And this might sound far-fetched, but I couldn't not speed through the rooftops at the speed of sound, you know, with the vampire quickness that I am endowed with. This is powerful elder vampire. I couldn't not experience that and not think of Marvel Spider-Man for PlayStation. While it's nowhere, don't get me wrong, it's not as good. Not good as the first one, and definitely not good as the movement and feeling of speed in Spider-Man 2. It still has that enjoyment where going from place to place, even though you're visiting a lot of the same locations, it is fun to leap over rooftops and glide down with your elder vampire gliding abilities, which I might add, it's cool that in the lore it is something that only an elder vampire can do. There's something that your mental companion Fabian expresses very, very early on in the game, that you have a set of abilities that are unique to you being an elder vampire. One being that gliding ability, but also you have telekinetic abilities that allow you to rip the weapons out of enemies' hands, such as pistols, automatics, batons, in some cases blades and swords. So that is really fun and really cool to play with. And the customization, you don't get a lot of options. You have the options to choose between male and female character in the beginning. Your elder vampire named Fire, which I feel like there could have been a lot of vampire names better than Fabian, or sorry, than Fire. But you have the option to make them male or female with limited customization options. I do know that the World of Darkness, the developers, I know that they added patches. A Halloween patch following the launch of the game, considering that it released around April of last year. They added a few customizable skins, and but nothing that would inherently change the gameplay, just how your character looks and appears in cutscenes, because this is a first-person action experience, not third person. And so so you have those abilities, and then you also have factions in the game. You have different vampire factions or covens or however you want to call them, that you get to choose from, that your elder vampires uniquely tied to. You have the Bruja, which is your strength-based class, focusing on hitting hard and fast and melee critical damage and snapping necks. You also have the Tremere, which is your sorcerer power, focusing on blood magic. These are blood mage, if you will, vampires that can do things like coagulate blood until your enemies are exploded, or toss sharp nail blades towards the enemy. So those are all abilities that you have within these different classes. There's also the La Sombra, which masters the shadows. They allow you to teleport behind enemies and manipulate shadows around your enemies, and sort of act as the crowd control class. And the class that I chose was the Toreador, which originally the developer had exclusive to DLC that I think was priced at $40, and many of the game community was like, nah bro, we waited 20 years for this game, or however long. Y'all not about to charge us $30 or however much it was to pick a class in the game. So thankfully they decided to lift that, and that class was a part of the day one accessible classes, and that was who I chose. And I did have a lot of fun as a Toreador. You have the abilities to kiss enemies and make them fight for you. You can teleport around the map, which also aids to the speed and momentum of the game, with a couple other abilities. So I did open a second playthrough, or start a second playthrough after completing the game, and select the Bruja class. And I will say the abilities, they're cute. They're not that different in feeling. All of them feel great and powerful to pull off, but the classes, they don't seem to feel that different. And that's apparent from the initial description of the different abilities, because while you can only pick one class to officially belong to or have your history tied to, almost all of the trees from the different vampire clans, almost all of those abilities become accessible later in the game as you fulfill certain side quests, again mostly fetch quests, for the different faction leaders. But they are still interesting to talk to.
This has been refreshing. You remind me that I am still young in comparison.
I will take my leave for the time being.
Don't be a stranger, darling.
They all have different personalities that are unique, or seem more a personality and appearances that are unique and complement the clan that they lead.
Got something. The cigarette girl killer. Knew the whole Cross and Rebar thing was familiar. Now don't go spreading this around. We don't want to start a panic. But doesn't this sound to you like the work of Santiago? Who?
Closing thoughts. I think I'm going to give Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 a solid 7, and that is a difficult 7. That is a 7 that I think is only valid for those who are truly vampire fans and had any anticipation or excitement in this game. I think it is worth a buy. I do not think it is worth the $70 price tag that they originally launched with. Nowhere near. At best, it's a $50 titles, and I think it's at least $30 though. If you can pick this title up for $30 or less, I think it's absolutely worth a buy. And I think if you enjoy vampires, you will not regret that decision. So thank you. This has been my short little review of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. If you enjoyed this video and this helped you inform your decision, whether you might buy the game or skip the game, please give this channel a like or subscribe. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Ciao for now.
Signs green.
control is normal. Targets detected.